It started like any other summer day at Camp Mystic on June 22nd, 2025, a clear Texas morning filled with laughter, swimming, and games, as hundreds of young campers soaked in the sunshine beside the peaceful Llano River. But by nightfall, that peace would shatter into chaos. What no one expected was the sky to darken with terrifying speed, a wall of black clouds rushing in with a rumble that shook the ground itself. By 6:47 p.m., weather alerts started pinging across devices, a severe flash flood warning issued for Kerr County. But for many inside the camp, cell service was spotty, and the warning came too late. Suddenly, the tranquil river swelled into a violent torrent, bursting its banks and roaring across campgrounds with terrifying force. Parents were hours away, counselors scrambled, and terrified campers clung to each other as lights went out and sirens blared through the darkness. Emergency responders received over 40 distress calls within a 20-minute window, and helicopters from Austin were deployed to the scene. What was once a summer haven had turned into a survival zone. Mudslides blocked key escape roads, power lines collapsed, and entire bunkhouses were submerged under several feet of raging water. Miraculously, no lives were lost, but the emotional scars remain. One camper described watching a friend's sleeping bag get swept away while water rushed into their cabin within seconds. Another said she heard trees snapping like toothpicks as a current tore through the forest. Videos shared online show furniture floating across the lawn, voices screaming in the background, and searchlights scanning the floodwaters deep into the night. Local heroes emerged, one being a 17-year-old counselor who tied a rope between cabins and led over a dozen girls to safety across waist-deep water. The National Weather Service later confirmed the region saw more than 7 inches of rain in just under 3 hours, calling it a once-in-200-years flood event. And yet, national coverage barely scratched the surface. What really unfolded that night wasn't just a weather event. It was a test of human spirit. Families waited by phones, scrolling social media, desperate for updates. Drenched and shivering, campers huddled in the dining hall as volunteers distributed blankets and emergency meals. At sunrise, the landscape looked unrecognizable. Canoes were in trees, playground equipment was mangled, and a camp that had hosted generations of memories now carried the trauma of a single unforgettable night. Experts blamed the worsening pattern on climate change, pointing to how dry land quickly turned into a death trap once rain overwhelmed already saturated soil. This wasn't just a freak accident. This was a wake-up call. A disaster like this could happen again, and maybe not just in Texas. Across the U.S., flash floods are becoming more violent, more unpredictable, and more frequent. And yet so many camps, schools, and neighborhoods remain unprepared. The story of Camp Mystic in 2025 must be remembered not just for the panic, but for the unity. Teenagers became heroes, strangers became family, and a flood that could have claimed lives instead revealed the power of human courage in the face of nature's fury. Whether you're a parent, a student, or just someone living near water, this is your warning. Nature won't wait for a second chance. So next time you hear thunder, don't ignore it, because for those at Camp Mystic, ignoring it almost cost them everything.